The deep sea is often portrayed as a dark, mysterious realm, fathoms beneath the waves where few creatures dare to dwell. It is a place of silence and pressure, where sunlight fails to reach, and the environment is both alien and extreme. But what if beneath these shadowy depths lay something even more extraordinary? Vast fields that resemble farmland, cultivated not by humans but by the ocean itself. Imagine plains of sediment, stretching as far as the eye can see, but patterned with eerie regularity, almost as if they were tended with care. These strange underwater landscapes challenge everything we think we know about the deep sea. Could there be entire ecosystems that mimic human agriculture in ways we have never imagined? What life forms are busy working there, beneath crushing pressure and eternal darkness? The more we explore, the more the abyss seems alive with a secret rhythm, suggesting a hidden world where the line between nature and nurture blurs enigmatically. At first glance, the seabed looks desolate, but scientific expeditions have revealed clusters of life that thrive in these depths. Some of the most notable examples include colonies of tube worms growing around hydrothermal vents, where heat and chemicals substitute for sunlight, creating microhabitats rich in life. These communities present fascinating natural farming systems. Tube worms cultivate bacteria inside their bodies, bacteria that feed on sulfur compounds spewing from the vents. In a sense, they are the ocean's own farmers, nurturing crops invisible to the naked eye. But these aren't the only mysterious cultivators. Bacterial mats cover patches of seabed like carpets, and crabs have been observed meticulously pruning these mats, possibly to maintain their food resources. This astounding orchestration suggests the deep ocean has its own farming practices, based solely on survival and the exchange of energy in this peculiar universe. Yet, bizarre observations deepen the mystery. Some underwater areas feature strange coral-like structures arranged in symmetrical, almost geometric patterns. These are unlike the chaotic shapes of typical coral reefs. Submersibles sent to investigate capture signals, vibrations pulsing through these corals with astonishing regularity, like the beats of an ancient machine or the pulse of a living algorithm. Could these formations be more than just coral? Could they be the organic scaffolds or bioengineered gardens constructed by unknown deep-sea architects? Their organizations hint at intelligence or at least entity-driven design. What purpose do these gardens serve, and how do they maintain their order in such a chaotic environment? Could these patterns be a form of communication or control, preserving and orchestrating life forms that depend on these bizarre crops? Across the eerie fields, strange creatures lurk, shadowy, multi-limbed beings with translucent exoskeletons that shimmer faintly in the darkness. These deep-sea crustaceans appear to harvest gelatinous bulbs glowing softly like lanterns, carefully transplanting them from one spot to another, almost as though they were gardeners tending seedlings. Watching them, one senses an unsettling rhythm, as if the creatures perform a ritual, a dance encoded over millennia to ensure their survival through manipulation of the crops. Under the faint lights, the bulbs occasionally pulse and wriggle, revealing embryonic tissues suggesting that these crops are not merely plants or bacteria but living incubators, hybridized with DNA from multiple marine species. The reality of such biological complexity is both fascinating and chilling, revealing a world where evolution has mingled manipulation and cultivation into an ancient pact. As human technology probes deeper into these alien gardens, the fragility of this ecosystem becomes apparent. When robotic arms attempt to sample the translucent crops, one ruptures, releasing a cloud of microscopic organisms that immediately begin colonizing the metal surface. An invasion of life that skillfully transforms lifeless technology into living matter. The ocean seems to push back, reclaiming intrusions with a subtle but relentless force. Communication is lost for moments. The eerie transformation suggests a microbial intelligence fluent in domination and survival. This moment reveals the ocean's deeper secret. Cultivation here is a strategy born of symbiosis and warfare, of life and death enmeshed in a relentless cycle. It blurs the human distinction between host and parasite, creator and creation, leading us to wonder what other unknown forms of life and cultivation remain hidden in the abyss. The more we learn, the more the concept of farming itself expands. It is no longer just a human invention but a strategy embedded in the fabric of life, evolving independently in the ocean's darkness. These deep-sea farmers cultivate not crops in the traditional sense, but complex communities of interdependent organisms, engineering their surroundings to maximize nutrient recycling and survival under impossible conditions. This biology of cooperation transforms barren sediments into thriving oases, linked by chemical webs finely tuned through the ages. It challenges us to rethink our definitions of agriculture and intelligence, hinting at vast, interconnected life networks beneath our feet that sustain the planet in silence. The abyss becomes not just a place of mystery, but a cradle of innovation that continues to inspire and bewilder. But beneath this wonder lies a subtle horror, the realization that these ecosystems, so delicately balanced, could vanish or be irreversibly altered by human actions such as deep-sea mining or climate change. The deep ocean, long considered a final frontier, is now vulnerable to the consequences of surface industries. What will happen if the cultivators of these unseen gardens are wiped out before we even fully understand their role? In this darkness, where light and hope are scarce, the loss of such ecosystems could mean the unraveling of entire food webs and the disappearance of life forms we never knew existed. It is a haunting reminder of our fragile place in the biosphere and how little we control the fate of these ancient, living farms under the sea. As the video camera retreats from the silent fields, the narrator leaves the viewer with these final thoughts. Across the vastness of the ocean, life cultivates itself in forms both familiar and terrifyingly alien. The deep-sea farms are not just crops. They are symbols of adaptation, cooperation, and survival against all odds. They whisper ancient stories governed by cycles older than humanity itself. What other secrets lie buried beneath the waves, waiting for us to unveil them or doomed to be lost forever in the watery darkness? The silent pulse of the deep-sea farmers beckons us into the unknown, inviting awe, respect, and a deep, abiding sense of wonder mixed with an edge of unease. Beneath the rolling waves and away from the sun's nourishing light, life in the deep ocean defies expectations. In this shadowy realm, where pressure crushes and temperatures drop, complex ecosystems not only survive but thrive, often through extraordinary adaptations. One of the most captivating and scientifically significant phenomena is the cultivation of life by deep-sea creatures, a kind of farming that depends not on sunlight but on chemical energy. Near hydrothermal vents, where scalding water rich with minerals bursts from the seafloor, entire communities flourish. Here, the usual food chain is replaced by a curious and complex system where bacteria convert chemicals into food through a process called chemosynthesis. These bacteria are the foundation of life in a world without light, acting like invisible farmers cultivating energy from the Earth's own heat beneath the waves. But what makes these ecosystems truly fascinating is how other species have evolved to nurture and farm these bacteria as a food source. Among the most iconic deep-sea farmers are the tube worms, towering columnar creatures that cluster near these hydrothermal vents in incredible numbers. Unlike plants that rely on photosynthesis, these worms harbor chemosynthetic bacteria within their bodies. These microbes digest sulfur compounds released from the vents, producing organic molecules the worms use as their primary food source. The worms, in turn, provide their bacterial partners with a steady supply of chemicals and a safe home, an intimate symbiotic relationship that resembles a microscopic greenhouse. This complex relationship suggests an inherently agricultural process. One organism cultivates another for mutual benefit, an extraordinary evolutionary partnership forged in complete darkness. How could such precise balance and mutual dependency develop so deep underwater, where conditions seem so hostile and unforgiving? Chemosynthesis-based farming does not stop with tube worms. Large mats of bacteria carpet patches of the seafloor, often in regions with little other life. Fascinatingly, these mats themselves become farms tended by animals like crabs, which have been observed delicately trimming and consuming the bacteria. This behavior reveals another level of biological farming. Animals not only harvest but actively cultivate and manage their food supply, ensuring its continued growth and availability. Unlike terrestrial farms where humans till soil under the sea, these creatures prune bacterial mats, effectively pruning fields that sustain entire benthic ecosystems. Could this be the most ancient form of farming on the planet, one that evolved long before humans hit the scene? It points to the fact that agriculture, in the broad sense of controlled and intentional growth of resources, is deeply embedded in nature's blueprint. One of the more mysterious elements of these deep-sea ecosystems is the presence of coral-like organisms that defy conventional categorization. These curious structures grow in repeating, mathematically precise patterns, covering patches of seabed in configurations unlike ordinary coral reefs. While many corals depend on sunlight, these peculiar formations thrive in darkness, suggesting fundamentally different biology. Submersibles record a strange, rhythmic vibration emanating from these structures, hinting at an active role in shaping the environment, almost as if they were natural bioreactors or living farms designed to cultivate life around them. Several marine biologists speculate that these structures could serve as scaffolds for other organisms, creating habitats in an otherwise barren landscape. If this is true, then the idea of farming here extends beyond consumption. These are architects of growth, engineering their world in hidden and sophisticated ways. Amidst the silent, shifting sands, elusive creatures delicately tend to gelatinous pods glowing faintly with bioluminescence. These pods, almost plant-like, contain biological matter that pulses with life, hinting at embryonic or hybridized cells developing within. The transparent caretakers, crustacean-like yet strange, harvest these pods and transplant them across the seabed in what almost appears as ritual movement. This choreography raises eerie questions. Are they preserving these embryonic forms for future generations, or manipulating genetics in a way similar to farming? The complexity hints at a level of biological innovation that blurs the boundary between predator, guardian, and farmer. In this place, the concept of agriculture is not just survival. It is an ancient, almost sacred practice woven into the fabric of life and evolution under pressure. It is not just the visible creatures, but also microscopic life forms that play crucial roles in these aquatic farms. When researchers attempt to sample some of these gelatinous crops, they witness astonishing biological responses. Cells released into the water rapidly colonize and transform foreign surfaces, demonstrating a surprising capacity for life to reclaim and conquer new substrates. This process suggests a kind of microbial farming where living colonies engineer their environment actively, turning inorganic matter into living, breathing communities. Such transformations hint at a dynamic interaction between biological cultivation and the physical environment, making the seafloor a living landscape in flux. It's as if the sea itself cultivates life, reshaping and regenerating constantly through a complex web of interactions too subtle for casual observation. The farming practices of the deep ocean illustrate nature's ingenious use of chemical energy to sustain vibrant and interconnected ecosystems. By harnessing chemosynthesis, organisms create energy-rich environments where diverse life forms cooperate and compete through evolutionary innovation. Unlike surface agriculture, these systems rely on symbiosis and microbial engineering rather than soil fertility or sunlight. They demonstrate nature's resourcefulness, showing us how life can emerge and proliferate in the most unlikely places. These farms highlight not only biological ingenuity but also the intricate balance of survival strategies evolved over millions of years in the darkest parts of our planet. They underscore an important lesson. Farming is not human invention alone but a fundamental ecological principle on Earth. Despite their resilience, these fragile ecosystems on the ocean floor face unprecedented threats from human interference. Deep-sea mining, climate change, and pollution pose significant risks to the delicate balance of these underwater farming systems, disrupting the microbial mats, coral-like scaffolds, or symbiotic relationships could have cascading effects on ocean biodiversity and global nutrient cycles. The horror lies in their invisibility and vulnerability. These ecosystems are little understood and rarely protected, yet represent vast reservoirs of life and natural innovation. What if we lose these ancient farms forever, along with their countless unknown species and the evolutionary stories they tell? Recognizing their existence is the first step toward safeguarding the deep sea's mysterious gardens. Reflecting on the complexity of deep-sea farming ecosystems invites a profound sense of awe and respect. These hidden worlds show us how life adapts in radical ways, cultivating and sustaining itself through the very chemistry of the earth. They challenge our concepts of agriculture and ecosystem engineering, pushing us to rethink nature's capability beyond the limits of sunlight and soil. In the endless darkness, life's ingenuity pulses with quiet persistence, reminding us how much remains to be discovered beneath the waves. What secrets will future explorations unlock about these silent cultivators? The deep ocean continues to invite curiosity and wonder, blending the realms of science and mystery in one of the planet's last unexplored frontiers. In the mysterious realm of the deep ocean, where sunlight does not penetrate and pressure reaches crushing extremes, coral structures emerge as one of the most beguiling natural phenomena. These coral formations appear as silent architects of the seabed, weaving vast underwater structures with astonishing geometric precision. Scientists have studied how corals grow, revealing that many exhibit not just random shapes but intricate mathematical patterns. Their branching resembles fractals, a kind of repeating, self-similar design that unfolds at every scale, from tiny polyps to sprawling reefs. This complex geometry isn't happenstance. It is an evolutionary masterpiece optimized for survival in the harsh underwater environment. Each coral polyp, a tiny living unit, contributes to this collective construction, shaping the reef with behaviors that echo the organized efforts of a colony of builders. Could such delicate, exacting growth be evidence of a deeper, almost mysterious intelligence permeating the ocean's depths? The story of coral growth is one that challenges how we traditionally imagine nature's designs. Unlike simple geometric shapes, coral reefs grow with a fractal complexity that maximizes surface area while controlling volume, allowing them to efficiently absorb nutrients and withstand intense environmental stress. Mathematical models simulating this growth show how branching patterns emerge spontaneously, without a central plan, governed instead by local interactions among neighboring polyps competing and cooperating for space and resources. The polyps fan out and space themselves in response to the coral's curved surfaces and physical boundaries, which means the shape of the reef itself influences its growth. In places with high curvature, the polyps fan out more, creating delicate branching that captures more nutrients from passing currents. In flatter areas, the branches are denser. Such emergent behavior creates a living pattern that balances order and chaos, biology and mathematics entwined in an endless dance of growth. Even more fascinating is the involvement of non-Euclidean, hyperbolic geometry in coral morphology, meaning these structures curve and fold in ways that escape simple flat plane logic. This curvature allows coral colonies to increase surface area dramatically, offering advantages when competing for food and sunlight in more shallow reefs or chemical sources deeper down. Polyp spacing follows a pattern finely attuned to environmental pressures, enabling the colony to resist breakage from currents while optimizing the efficiency of feeding. These mathematical signatures manifest both in how corals distribute themselves and how they interact with the microscopic ecosystems living on their surfaces. This shaping principle puzzles scientists. Might such precise patterning indicate an unknown form of ecological engineering, evolved over millions of years? The rhythmic patterns of coral colonies also extend into dynamical behaviors. Researchers have observed pulsating waves and traveling pulses sweeping across reef surfaces, not unlike excitable media found in physics and chemistry. These waves influence the distribution of living tissue and skeletal growth, creating cycles of growth and erosion that sustain the delicate balance between life and decay. Models capturing these dynamics suggest that reefs can shift between stable growth and wave-like propagation depending on environmental factors such as mortality rates and erosion. These natural oscillations might help reefs adapt rapidly to changing ocean conditions, offering resilience against disturbances and environmental stress. But this raises lingering questions. Do these living waves also serve as a form of communication or coordination within the coral community, guiding growth and repair? Coral formations in the deep sea don't just puzzle scientists because of their structure. Their ability to survive in nutrient-poor, high-pressure zones adds another layer of mystery. The deep ocean is not a place one would expect such elaborate ecosystems to thrive, yet some coral species flourish there. These deep-sea corals create shelters and habitats that support unexpectedly diverse fauna, acting as nurseries and feeding grounds for myriad marine life. Their mineral skeletons form hard, three-dimensional frameworks that extend the physical landscape, adding new niches to an otherwise flat and barren seafloor. The geometry and patterns of these colonies optimize their interaction not only with the environment but with surrounding species. How do these fragile yet complex reefs maintain themselves without the sunlight or abundant nutrients found in shallower waters? Another startling facet of coral research lies in the discovery that coral frameworks can be mathematically predicted, giving new hope for conservation efforts. By developing models that integrate coral growth, competition, and mineral deposition, scientists can simulate the development of reef structures and predict their responses to environmental pressures like ocean acidification and warming. These models help identify tipping points, moments when reefs might shift from growth to decline, or from stability to collapse. Understanding these dynamics is critical as coral reefs worldwide face unprecedented threats. Could such mathematical insights help us protect these underwater farmers before it's too late? And might this knowledge offer inspiration for biomimetic design, using nature's ancient algorithms to create resilient human technologies? Despite their awe-inspiring beauty and complexity, deep-sea coral reefs also carry an undercurrent of unease. Their fractal, branching patterns harbor hidden dangers, sharp, brittle skeletons and spaces where predatory organisms lurk, waiting in the shadows. To some, these can feel like underwater cathedrals hosting quietly ominous beings, their slow, rhythmic waves carrying whispered secrets. The juxtaposition of mesmerizing order and lurking threat conjures a subtle horror. These are worlds where survival depends on intricate balance, but where one disruption can trigger cascading collapse. It's as if these coral patterns guard ancient mysteries, their growth a slow, ongoing ritual of life and death beneath the waves. Might these eerie, alien structures hint at unknown forms of intelligence or ancient evolutionary experiments still in progress? As the camera pulls back from the detailed fractal branches and pulsating coral surfaces, the narrator invites reflection on the astounding interplay between math, biology, and mystery. These coral colonies, shaped by forces we are only beginning to understand, challenge our very notions of what life can be, especially in the ocean's darkest and most inaccessible places. Their strange, elegant architectures reveal a deeper story of survival and adaptation, a story that might hold keys to understanding resilience in a rapidly changing world. What other patterns lie hidden in the ocean's depths, waiting for curious explorers to decode? The silent coral gardens are a testament to nature's capacity to weave beauty and complexity from the void, quietly pulsing with life and whispering ancient secrets of the sea. Hydrothermal vent ecosystems are among the most extraordinary and otherworldly habitats on Earth, allowing life to thrive where sunlight never reaches. These underwater hot springs are fissures in the seafloor, often along tectonic mid-ocean ridges, where superheated, mineral-rich water bursts from beneath the Earth's crust. Despite the extreme heat, crushing pressure, and dark abyss surrounding them, these vents create oases of life that sustain complex communities. Unlike most ecosystems that rely on photosynthesis, hydrothermal vents operate on chemosynthesis, the conversion of chemicals like hydrogen sulfide into energy by specialized microbes. This dark energy drives an explosion of biomass and diversity in an otherwise barren seafloor, giving rise to strange and unique organisms perfectly adapted to these harsh conditions. What makes these ecosystems so fascinating is how life has not only adapted but flourished through intimate symbioses and remarkable biological ingenuity. At the base of the hydrothermal vent food web are chemoautotrophic bacteria and archaea that metabolize the chemical cocktail spewing from the vent chimneys. These microbes form dense mats or live symbiotically inside larger animals, transforming toxic compounds into organic matter that fuels their hosts. One of the most iconic examples is the giant tube worm, which has no mouth or gut but relies entirely on internal bacteria housed in a specialized organ called a trophosome. These bacteria convert vent chemicals into nourishment, feeding their worm hosts as they anchor themselves in the vent chimneys. This partnership exemplifies a kind of deep-sea farming, microbial cultivation occurring within the animal body, turning poisonous chemicals into life-sustaining energy. It's an astonishing reminder that life can redefine itself in the darkest corners of our planet. Surrounding these microbial and animal communities is an ecosystem unlike any other, where clams, shrimps, crabs, and various invertebrates have adapted to coexist with the vent's chemical hazards. Many of these species live nowhere else on Earth. Some crabs have evolved specialized brushes of setae on their claws to harvest bacterial mats, essentially functioning as farmers who tend their microscopic crops. These crustaceans maintain and protect their bacterial gardens, ensuring a steady food supply in an environment where traditional prey is scarce. Such behaviors are reminiscent of human agriculture but evolved independently under conditions that test the limits of life. Could these crustaceans have developed complex behavioral repertoires that rival surface species when it comes to resource management? The vent community's structure often resembles a finely balanced farm, with each organism playing a role in sustaining this chemical food web. While these communities seem stable, they exist on a razor's edge. The vent fluid chemistry fluctuates with geological activity. Eruptions, shifts, and variations in fluid flow change the environment rapidly. Some vent systems can be extinguished within years or even months, forcing the resident species to disperse or perish. The resilience of these ecosystems depends heavily on larval stages that drift with ocean currents, seeking new vents to colonize. However, these dispersal routes are complicated by natural oceanic barriers, leaving many vent populations isolated. Scientists are only beginning to understand how connectivity between vent sites influences genetic diversity and ecosystem stability. Could such fragmentation be nature's way of experimenting with biodiversity in these extreme conditions? Or does it create vulnerability that makes the vents susceptible to collapse under stress? The dark allure of hydrothermal vent ecosystems deepens with the eerie adaptations of some inhabitants. Certain vent animals can survive exposure to toxic compounds and extreme temperatures that would incinerate most life. They have evolved physiological and biochemical shields, producing proteins to bind harmful molecules or repair damaged tissues at the cellular level. Some shrimp and crabs glow faintly, bioluminescing in the gloom as if signaling to one another or warding off unseen threats. The interplay of light and shadow, the ghostly pulsations, and the strange movements of these creatures evoke a subtle horror, a reminder of a world where survival means mastering elemental forces both beautiful and brutal. What ancient evolutionary paths led to such specialized, sometimes alien adaptations? Human activities now threaten these delicate deep-sea gardens. The emerging industry of deep-sea mining aims to exploit mineral-rich vent deposits, risking destruction of entire vent fields. Sediment plumes stirred by mining can smother organisms, disrupt feeding and gas exchange, and obliterate the habitats that took millennia to form. Since hydrothermal vent ecosystems are isolated and contain many endemic species, their loss would mean permanent extinction of unique life forms. Despite recent advances in biology and ecology, many aspects of vent communities remain poorly understood, complicating conservation efforts. How can we balance our quest for resources with the imperative to preserve these unique, fragile marine oases? The stakes grow higher as mining expands, urging proactive environmental protections based on scientific insight. Scientists race to map vent ecosystems and understand their complex biogeographical patterns. Tools like submersibles, remotely operated vehicles, and genetic analysis unlock secrets beneath the waves, revealing astonishing biodiversity and ecological interconnectedness. Research shows that vent species compositions vary worldwide due to local geological conditions and evolutionary histories, demonstrating hotspots of unique functional biodiversity. These findings highlight the importance of protecting not only individual sites but also the corridors that allow larval dispersal and genetic exchange. The challenge lies in crafting conservation strategies that accommodate the dynamic nature of vent systems, including their episodic existence and geographical fragmentation. In the dim, pressurized world around hydrothermal vents, life's persistence against overwhelming odds inspires both wonder and caution. These ecosystems blur the boundaries between biology and geology, chemistry and ecology, revealing unknown chapters of life's story. They invite us to ponder not only how life began in the depths but also how fragile our planet's ecosystems truly are, even far beneath the waves. As we peer into these dark gardens of chemical wonder, the question remains: will humanity act as caretakers respecting their legacy or as consumers sealing their fate? The deep-sea vent farms remind us of the complexity, fragility, and profound mystery waiting to be explored below the ocean's surface. The abyssal darkness of the deep ocean is often broken by bursts of ethereal light, shimmering like underwater stars scattered across the void. This glow is not the reflection of distant celestial bodies, but a fascinating biological phenomenon called bioluminescence. In these sunless depths, countless creatures have evolved the ability to produce their own light chemically, turning the pitch-black ocean into a stage illuminated by living lanterns. From tiny bacteria to enormous squids, bioluminescence serves many purposes: communication, hunting, camouflage, and defense. This chemical light show is perhaps the most mysterious, beautiful, and eerie spectacle nature offers, a living language woven from flashes, glows, and pulses amid the oppressive gloom. What secrets could these glowing signals conceal, and how have creatures harnessed light in the deep sea's perpetual night? Among the most famous bioluminescent residents of the deep sea is the anglerfish, a ghastly predator with a long, fishing rod-like appendage protruding from its head. At the tip of this lure resides a bulb filled with glowing bacteria, which the anglerfish uses to attract unsuspecting prey. In the crushing pressures and utter darkness, this flickering beacon is a deadly trap. Prey drawn to the light come within range of this toothy ambush predator. The anglerfish's gruesome visage, featuring enormous, fang-like teeth and an expandable jaw, contrasts starkly with this delicate light source, a biological lantern dangling in the void. How might such a macabre hunting strategy have evolved, based on symbiotic bacteria and an almost hypnotic glow? Other denizens of the deep ocean have evolved equally fascinating uses for bioluminescence. The vampire squid, which lives thousands of meters below the surface, can eject a cloud of glowing mucus to confuse and deter predators, buying time to escape certain death. This glowing smokescreen is part of a genius defense strategy, suggesting a complex evolutionary arms race in a place where every advantage counts. Similarly, the stoplight loosejaw dragonfish possesses red photophores, the only creature known to use red light in this environment. This allows it to see other creatures who cannot perceive red wavelengths while hunting stealthily in the dark abyss. Such adaptations demonstrate not only the diversity of bioluminescence but also its sophistication as a survival tool. Many smaller inhabitants of the twilight zone glow as well. Tiny shrimp, copepods, and other crustaceans emit short, controlled bursts of blue-green light, often when alarmed by predators. This bioluminescence can serve as a warning flare or a distraction to startle attackers. Some polychaete worms release glowing bombs that light up the seafloor in bursts, evoking images of ancient sea pyrotechnics. Jellyfish like the Atala display a bright, flashing ring of light when disturbed, while deep-sea anemones and corals emit irregular glows that add to the ocean's nightscape. The range of glowing life forms, from microscopic to multi-meter giants, paints a landscape in eerie, flickering light that is both mesmerizing and unsettling. Bioluminescence in deep-sea animals is typically produced through a chemical reaction involving luciferin and luciferase, similar to the glowworms on land, but marine organisms have developed it in myriad ways. Some species produce light themselves, while others harbor symbiotic bacteria that manufacture the glowing chemicals. This cooperation blurs the distinction between the organism and its microbiome, creating shared light sources that highlight nature's collaborative inventions. The colors are mostly blue-green, best suited for the water's transmission properties, but some species have evolved lights of different hues, accommodating various needs. Could these glowing colors represent a hidden code, a biological semaphore in the darkest corners of Earth's oceans? Among fish, specialized light organs called photophores serve as bioluminescent beacons on various body parts: tails, bellies, heads, often arranged in intricate patterns. Lanternfish, one of the most abundant deep-sea species, use these photophores not only for camouflage by matching downwelling light, but also for species recognition and mating displays. Some sharks, such as lantern sharks, have rows of lights that possibly confuse predators or prey by breaking up their silhouettes. Even squid and octopuses have adapted photophores to produce light, some releasing glowing ink clouds to escape threats, while others flash lights in rhythmic displays. The silent, Mesmerizing pulses of these animals create an otherworldly dance, a hidden bioluminescent language that scientists are only beginning to decode. But bioluminescence also carries a subtle horror. This light can betray creatures or lure them into deadly traps. The predator-prey dynamic in the deep sea is a high-stakes game where flashes of light may be the difference between life and death. Many prey species use sudden flashes or glowing decoys to confuse attackers, while others use continuous glows to blend perfectly against the faint light filtering from above. The foreboding beauty of this glowing dark world is a reminder that beneath the ocean's surface exists a realm shaped by brutality and survival, adorned with eerie, living lights born from centuries of evolutionary warfare. How do these creatures balance attraction and concealment in a lightless world? And what might remain hidden beyond the glow? As our machines descend deeper and our understanding grows, bioluminescence continues to fascinate and mystify, revealing unknown chapters of oceanic life. These glowing creatures demonstrate nature's incredible innovation and adaptive capacity in an environment hostile to most life. Their lights flash stories of survival, communication, and ancient ecological relationships in the cold, crushing darkness. Peering into their illuminated lives sparks a sense of both wonder and unease, as if we glimpse a secret world pulsating with ancient rhythms under the sea. What messages pass between these glowing organisms, and what will we discover next in the deep ocean's dark, twinkling expanse? The deep-sea anglerfish is one of the most unforgettable and bizarre predators of the ocean's abyss, a true marvel of evolution and survival in a world of darkness and crushing pressure. Its most famous adaptation is the bioluminescent lure, a glowing appendage that dangles like a fishing rod above its enormous mouth. This eerie light is produced by symbiotic bacteria housed in the lure, pulsating with hypnotic flickers in the pitch-black water. The anglerfish uses this glowing bait to attract prey, mimicking small animals or worms that deep-sea creatures cannot resist. When an unsuspecting fish or crustacean approaches, the anglerfish snaps its large jaws with astonishing speed, swallowing prey sometimes larger than its own body. But this ingenious hunting method is only the beginning of the anglerfish's adaptations to the deep's extreme environment. Unlike most fish, anglerfish have a grotesque yet highly functional jaw and stomach. Their jaws can stretch and open wide enough to engulf prey as large as themselves, a crucial adaptation in an environment where meals are unpredictable and rare. The stomach is similarly elastic, capable of expanding to accommodate this feast. This means the anglerfish can gorge itself when food is present, then survive long periods fasting, a survival tactic tailored perfectly to the patchy and scarce food availability of the deep sea. What horrors must a creature endure to wait weeks or even months for its next meal, relying entirely on the success of stealth and deception. Adding to its peculiarity, the anglerfish displays one of nature's most fascinating sexual adaptations: extreme sexual dimorphism and parasitism. Female anglerfish are the large, glowing hunters, while males are drastically smaller, sometimes only a fraction of the female's size. Upon finding a female, a male will latch onto her with his sharp teeth, fusing permanently to her body. Over time, the male's organs atrophy until he becomes nothing more than a sperm-producing appendage providing genetic material in exchange for nourishment. This bizarre reproductive strategy ensures that females have a ready mate in the sparse deep ocean, while males give up their independence entirely. It's a haunting relationship, hinting at the brutal realities of survival in such an unforgiving world. Despite their terrifying appearance and hunting prowess, anglerfish also have natural predators. Larger fish, such as deep-sea sharks and some predatory fish species, hunt juvenile anglerfish. Marine mammals like dolphins and seals may also consume anglerfish if encountered. To defend themselves, anglerfish use their bioluminescent lure to confuse or distract threats. Some species even have venomous spines as physical deterrents. Yet, their slow swimming speed and reliance on camouflage leave them vulnerable to these faster and more aggressive deep ocean hunters. The interplay between predator and prey in these dark waters is a constant dance between horror and survival, each adaptation a response to the relentless demands of this extreme environment. Interestingly, the anglerfish's lure is not just a tool for hunting but also plays a crucial role in reproductive signaling. The glowing appendage helps females attract mates in an environment where finding one another is a monumental challenge. Beyond this, some anglerfish species can change how they display the lure, pulsing or jerking it, to more effectively mimic the movements of living prey, enhancing both their hunting success and their mating prospects. This dual function of the bioluminescent lure highlights the complexity of life deep beneath the waves, where light is both a weapon and a beacon in the abyss. Other anglerfish adaptations extend beyond lure anatomy. Their bodies are typically soft and flabby, conserving energy in a food-scarce world. Their skin often carries textures or lumps that resemble coral, rocks, or sargassum, providing near-perfect camouflage. Some members of the anglerfish family can walk slowly on the seafloor using their pectoral fins, rather than swim, an energy-efficient way to navigate their benthic habitat. These subtle yet vital traits collectively underscore the anglerfish's mastery of survival in an environment that demands ingenuity and patience. The anglerfish's story is one of haunting adaptation, a living embodiment of life's persistence against staggering odds. Its grotesque appearance, eerie glow, and parasitic mating strategy paint an unforgettable portrait of the deep ocean's harsh realities. Each horrifying feature, sharp fangs, expandable stomach, bioluminescent lure, reflects millions of years of evolution fine-tuning a predator perfectly adapted to seize opportunities in a place where food is scarce and danger is omnipresent. What other secrets might these creatures hold, locked away in the abyssal depths? How might their bizarre biology inspire new understanding of life's possibilities in extreme environments? As we probe the mysteries of deep-sea anglerfish, the question glides in quietly but persistently. What does the future hold for these creatures? Their habitats, remote and fragile, face threats from deep-sea mining, pollution, and climate change. Disruptions to the seafloor environment, changes in food availability, and chemical shifts could imperil these enigmatic hunters. Protecting these adaptations, forged in darkness, requires expanding our appreciation for the deep's delicate ecosystems. The deep-sea anglerfish thus becomes not only a symbol of strange beauty and terror, but a sentinel urging us to study, protect, and respect the mysterious realms below the waves.